If you were born into a Brahmin family in the kingdom of Magadh around 500 BCE, where chants held more power than swords and fire was a god to be fed daily, your life would not be yours. It would be an unbroken chain of memory, discipline, and sacred duty. From the moment the sacred thread touched your shoulder, every breath you took, every syllable you spoke, and every silence you held would be part of a 1,000-year-old echo, carrying the voice of the gods to the heart of a kingdom. You were born just before dawn, in a narrow alley near the eastern gate of Rajagriha, in a Brahmin household, where every moment is watched by the gods and weighed by dharma. When the first cries leave your lips, they are not greeted with laughter, but with a chant. A priest, your uncle perhaps, lights a fire of samit twigs, reciting verses from the Rig Veda, offering ghee into the flame while your mother lies still, her hair tied back with turmeric thread, her eyes closed in fatigue. Your father does not touch you for the first few days, that is custom. Purity must be restored first. When the 5th day arrives, the family gathers and you are bathed in scented water, wrapped in fresh white cloth, and then named. Not casually. A Brahmin child's name is chosen by nakshatra, by syllables aligned to the stars, by the old scriptures. You are not Bola or Chika. You are Somadatta or Devavrata, something that will sound sacred when chanted in the yagna. You are not fed by hand. A spoon of gold or copper delivers honey, curd and ghee into your mouth. That is the Jatakarma, the ritual that begins your journey toward knowledge. By the age of 5, your world is already structured. You sleep on a mat, rolled under a wooden cot. Your father's scrolls stored just above you. You wake before sunrise, not to work the fields, but to recite. Your father teaches you Sanskrit syllables before you've ever held a pot of water. You do not carry cow dung, you carry mantras. Your first real ceremony arrives at the age of 8. The village gathers. A fire altar is built. You are dressed in fresh deerskin, your head shaved, except for the shikha, the top knot. Then your father ties a cotton thread, the sacred Yajnapavita, diagonally across your chest. This is your Upanayana. You are now a Dvija, the twice-born. The gods are now listening. From this day you rise with the sun to chant the Gayatri mantra. You bathe in cold water, offer flowers, sit cross-legged, and begin to memorize the Rig Veda, the Samaveda, the Brahmanas. Long winding texts, all committed to memory. There are no books to read, no slates, just your mind, your teacher, and repetition. Again, and again, and again. Your friends are other Brahmin boys. You do not play outside the school walls. When you see a soldier walk past, you lower your gaze. When a merchant speaks to you, you speak softly. When a Shudra crosses your path, you step aside. Not out of pride, but out of sacred fear, that their work might pollute your vow of purity. Your food is plain, rice, lentils, boiled vegetables, always cooked by your mother or a priest's wife. Meat is forbidden, garlic and onions too. You must eat in silence, facing east, after offering a pinch to the fire and another to the crows. During festivals, your role is not to celebrate, it is to serve the gods. At Agnihotra, you bring firewood and ghee. At Vasantotsava, you recite the hymns that begin the season. You are not among the dancers. You are the boy behind the smoke, chanting, eyes closed, still learning. Your body does not grow strong, but your memory sharpens and your tongue becomes fluent in ancient rhythm. You do not laugh easily, you do not cry loudly, even your emotions are trained. By 12 you know that your life will not be one of riches or weapons, but when your voice recites the mantras at dawn, when the fire flickers before your hands, when the village pauses to listen to your father speak, you feel something even kings envy. Authority without sword, power without coin, respect born not from fear but from faith. By the age of 13, your voice has dropped and your recitations deepen in tone. Your thread, the Yagnopavita, is now worn with familiarity, as natural as the skin beneath it. You're no longer the boy who fetches water for the yagna. You are now learning to build it, brick by brick, measurement by sacred measurement, angles dictated by Vastu, firewood cut to precise length, because even the gods, you're taught, do not forgive errors in ritual. You live in your Acharya's Gurukul, a simple thatched hall on the edge of town. He is stern, he speaks only when necessary. You sit with 5 others, cross-legged on reed mats, each with shaved heads, each whispering verses under their breath, while holding blades of kusa grass between fingers. Memory is your only pen, repetition your only ink. Daylight is for Vedic studies. The Rig Veda's hymns to Agni, Indra, Soma. The Samavedi's chants sung in melody. The Yajurveda's instructions for sacrifice. Not just what to say, but how to breathe while saying it. One misplaced breath could unravel a ritual. You know this. Your acharya reminds you daily. But it is not just recitation. You're taught astronomy, how to calculate the tidhi, the lunar phase, the correct alignment of nakshatras before starting any rite. You learn to draw fire altars in shapes, falcon-shaped, tortoise-shaped, wheel-shaped, each with its own meaning. You begin to understand that your role is not just religious, but cosmic. You're expected to know the timing of the rains, the phases of the moon, the shifting stars. For your class is the calendar itself. And still, you're poor. Brahmins do not earn wages, they receive alms. In the afternoon you walk barefoot into the village with a begging bowl, reciting a soft verse at each door. Some ignore you, some give rice, a few offer milk or curd. You never demand. You are trained to accept hunger without complaint. Marriage talk begins around 16, but it is not your decision. A match is arranged with a Brahmin girl, preferably from a family with a good ritual lineage. You are not consulted. Your teacher and father speak with the girl's elders, comparing Vedic schools like merchants compare grains. Her family ensures she can cook ritual food and maintain household purity. You ensure you have memorized your portion of the Shatapatha Brahmana. The match is made. The wedding is a sacred event. Unlike the folk weddings of the commoners, yours is complex. The square fire altar is built. You wear a white cotton dhoti, fresh from the loom. A Brahmin priest, not you, recites the Vivaha mantras. You and your bride take 7 steps around the fire, each with a vow, each with a verse. She brings dowry, not gold, but vessels, grains, cloth, and most importantly, ritual utensils. After the wedding, you return to your Vedic training. Marriage is no end. It is a beginning of a more complex dharma. You now have duties not only to the gods, but to your wife, your students, your village, your ancestors. By the time you are 25, you are no longer just a student. You're addressed as Bhattaraka or Shrotriya. You've begun conducting Agnihotra for others. You lead the Nirvana rituals during harvest. You're invited to towns to recite Purusha Sukta in royal sacrifices. You sit in courts with kings, not as their equal, but as the voice that blesses their power. Your hands are soft, but your presence is firm. Your home is humble, but your words can stop a war. You own no land, but every landowner bows before your knowledge of time, of stars, of gods. This is your youth, not of rebellion, but of ritual, not of noise, but of memory. And now your fire is just beginning to rise. You are 26 now. You rise each morning before the rest of the village, before the merchants unlock their shops, before the farmers tie their plough to oxen, even before the crows begin to call. You step into the faint light, pour water from a copper pot into your palm, and begin the first Agnihotra of the day. 2 offerings, one at sunrise, one at sunset. Milk, ghee, fire, and sacred syllables. Your life is now tightly woven with ritual and responsibility. You are no longer just the student repeating chants. You are the one being called to bless, to interpret, to correct. When a child is born, it is you who whispers the Vedic name into the ear. When a marriage is to be solemnized, it is you who builds the altar, recites the vows, conducts the 7 steps. When a man dies, it is you who lights the final fire on the riverbank and recites from the Yajurveda to guide the soul home. You are invited into homes you do not own, fed before the landlords eat, offered coins wrapped in betel leaves. You keep none of it for wealth, only for function. A Brahmin's strength is not what he owns, but what he knows. Your wife now runs a silent kingdom within the home. She wakes before you, bathes, cooks only in bronze pots, cleansed with ash and water, lays fresh mango leaves at the door, and teaches your children the first words of Sanskrit. She does not speak loudly in front of guests. She touches your feet every full moon. She fasts on Ekadashi. She lights the same oil lamp each twilight, not as a habit, but as an offering to Lakshmi. Your children, 2 sons and a daughter, now shadow your life. One son begins his Upanayana at 8. You perform it yourself, just as your father did. Your daughter is trained not to read the Veda, but to maintain ritual purity, manage the home, and prepare for her own dharmic household. Her marriage will be arranged by horoscope, by family lineage, by reputation. There is no other way. By now you are called to the palace at Rajgriha, during solar eclipses or during the full moon yagnas. You walk barefoot through the royal gate, offered a seat near the king, though you keep your eyes low, and your speech soft. You are the king's reminder of his dharma, not his friend, but his conscience. You are asked questions no one else can answer. What phase is correct for consecrating a new granary? What mantra is needed for the second son's marriage if the elder is still unmarried? Is it inauspicious to see a snake before bathing? You don't guess, you remember. And from memory you pronounce. There are moments of fatigue. Your knees ache during long rituals. Your eyes blur while tracing ancient verses under flickering oil lamps. You miss the simplicity of studenthood, the focus, the silence. But now your knowledge belongs to others. It is your obligation to serve. You don't fight battles, you don't write laws, but your voice can delay a war, can approve a marriage, can sanctify a coronation. Even the king knows, a kingdom without a Brahmin is a kingdom without its center. You don't fear death. You've recited the Nasadiya Sukta. You know the questions the gods themselves could not answer. You've fed fire with mantras that rise like smoke toward the heavens, and every evening as the sun lowers behind the hills of Magadh, you sit by your home's courtyard fire, eyes half closed, whispering verses that have passed through 100 mouths before you, knowing that you are now one more voice in an unbroken line.
You're 50 now, maybe 52. You no longer count the years by birthdays, but by rituals. The last Upanayana you conducted for a student, the last yajna you oversaw for a merchant's son, the last time you corrected a king. Your hair is mostly white. Your hands tremble slightly when you hold the ladle of ghee over the fire. But no one notices, because when you chant, your voice still holds weight. Because even now, when you speak, the air around the fire quiets, and the younger Brahmins lower their eyes. You no longer go to the Gurukul every morning, but the students come to you. They sit on your veranda, backs straight, holding palm leaves, waiting for you to open your eyes. You don't recite everything anymore. You test them. You pause mid-verse and let them finish it. And when they get it wrong, you smile, then correct them. Slowly, gently, because you remember how long it took you. Your home has changed. It is no longer a space for just your family. It has become a space of learning. A cow is tied under the neem tree. Clay pots rest on the ledge. Your wife still maintains the daily fire, though her hair is now covered in streaks of silver. You speak less now. You don't need to say much. You've already taught, guided, corrected, blessed. The village knows your name. The kings remember it. Even the monks in the nearby vihara nod when they pass your gate. When festivals arrive, you do not walk to the center anymore. The procession comes to you. A boy places the first flower garland in your hands before the bull is led through the town. During Mahavrata, they bring the samit wood to your house and ask for your permission before lighting the altar in the square. You have buried many, students, neighbors, even your wife perhaps, if fate ran that course. You do not weep loudly, but when you sit by the evening fire, you sometimes chant verses not from ritual, but from memory, for her, for them, for the lives that passed like smoke through the same flames you once fed.
Through the same flames you once fed. Your last major yajna is at 63, a great Soma sacrifice, performed for the Prince of Anger, newly aligned with Magadh. You supervise the fire altar, make final corrections to the site, and watch as your former students conduct the rites. You speak only at the end, one final benediction. That night, when the drums stop, you sleep without dreams, and in the morning, you do not attend the final offerings. You sit by the Ganga and watch the river move. You know now that your voice has become memory. Your silence carries more meaning than your words once did. You are no longer the voice of authority. You are the echo of it. And when the time comes, when your breath becomes shallow and your vision fades, they will light your pyre with sandalwood, chant the Mahanarayana Upanishad, and send you into the wind, not as a priest, not as a teacher, but as a man who carried fire through generations and passed it forward with steady hands.